You're tuned into the It's Real podcast with your hosts, Kayla Kallander and Andrew Yaggie. Each week, we'll talk about what happens behind the scenes working full-time in real estate and share with you real-life stories, our successes and failures as we work to help consumers and industry professionals reach their real estate and real-life goals. Here we go.
It's episode 38 of the It's Real podcast. I'm Kayla Kallander, and I'm a mortgage lender.
And I'm Andrew Yaggie, and I'm a real estate agent. Kayla, good to see you.
Good to see you. It's been a hot minute.
It has. It's been, I think, like 2 weeks. We took a little break last week. And why don't you tell everybody what you've been up to?
Oh, what haven't I been up to? No, I was just in Vegas, Las Vegas, for a mortgage conference called Momentum Builder, which was pretty cool. About 300 loan officers or industry professionals. And it feels like someone said, like a high school reunion for lenders, because you go to these events and you learn massive amounts of information. You get fire in your belly, and you also connect with other people who really get what you do. And then you find yourself going to the conferences almost just to see them again. So it was a 2.5-day event, and it was amazing. So good for the soul, so good for motivation, and I'll definitely go back.
Awesome. Good for you. That's something that I've been lacking lately, and just kind of in a different season of life with, 3 young kids and, trying to prioritize family a little bit more over other things. But I miss, some of these conferences. And I was just looking at your social, and I loved everything that you were posting, all of your updates, and, the people that you'd run into, and, friends old and new, and snaps and everything else. It was motivating for me to kind of see all of the little snippets and all of the information you were taking in, so you can ultimately make yourself better for your clients, right?
Amen. And it's even for, my referral partners and, the things that you can do. And it's so funny. You sit in the crowd and you're like, I'm doing a great job. And then you hear someone else say something or spin it, or you hear someone like a Todd Duncan get up and talk about motivation, and it makes you want to be better for your clients. And I think about all the people in the room that I'm surrounded by, and I think about how they level all of us up. There's lenders and realtors out there that they're fine doing just, transactions, but these conferences are amazing because it makes you realize why you're doing it and how you can give the client and realtors and everyone involved a better experience. So definitely good for the soul.
For sure. Awesome. Good for you. I have to ask, Kayla, did you take your Remarkable with you? And did you put it to good use?
I did. I got it right here too. I have it everywhere. So for anyone listening, anytime you need advice in life, contact Andrew Yaggie. So the Remarkable, it's funny. There were a lot of people that had one as well. And I am just so much more organized. And I can flip through and go on my phone, and I don't have stacks of paper and searching. Like it has been an amazing investment. So thank you, Andy.
And how long did you procrastinate buying it after we talked about it?
Like a year. At least a year. I'm like, I'm not spending money on this. I'll spend money on hair extensions, but I'm not going to spend money on a Remarkable. Mm-hmm. But totally worth it. I mean, I'm already using it so much more than I thought. So
good for you. That's really, really awesome.
Yeah, and I don't get paid by Remarkable to say that, so it's true. So
awesome.
But what have you been up to? You guys were traveling, right?
Yeah, we were traveling, took a little family trip down to Arizona. So my parents spend about a month down there every year, and still have grandparents on each side that are down there as well. So I was hanging out down in kind of the Phoenix area. Spent a lot of time with family and the kids, and we had a really, really great time. Seeing family and just getting away. And actually, I think it was about the nicest it's ever been in Arizona. I was down there actually a couple of days the prior week for some recurrent flight training as well. And so that was kind of a lot of fun. Connected with some old friends, actually a good high school classmate of mine. And it's like, boy, like you wouldn't think we'd have to come down to Phoenix both to get together, but it's kind of funny how that works sometimes.
Oh, it is. What was the weather like when you were there? What was the temperature?
I mean, it was gorgeous, 70s to even 80 some days.
Wow. Okay.
So it was really, really nice.
And what did the girls think? Were they pretty excited, like the pool life, all that?
Absolutely loved it. In fact, Kayla, it might be my most expensive Arizona trip ever, in that both my wife and kids really, really would love an in-ground pool, which I don't know. We'll see, but
Yeah.
they're really wanting kind of an in-ground pool. I just don't know if we have the season for it.
It's tough because you guys are lake people too. And when you've got the lake, it's like you're at the lake. And by the time your lake season's over, it's pool season's over too. So
Yeah, and that's true. Although, man, the swimmer's itch has just been so bad these last couple of years, at least on Otter Tail Lake. And I was just talking to another friend of mine today, and even on their lake, he's like, "Yeah, my girls, won't even go in the water because it's so bad." And so, kind of looking for different options, but don't want to
yeah.
not ever go out there because and miss out on time with parents, siblings, cousins.
Yeah.
Um, so it's a tough decision.
Do you know that dogs can get swimmer's itch?
I did know. In fact, I think, didn't you post a picture of one of your dog that had just awful, like looked like
Terrible.
it was attacked by a swarm of bees or
Oh
something? It had
it
like
was like
bites on it.
it looked awful, but I was literally researching like things you can do, and you can buy like these balms now before you go in the water. But yeah, anyway, to your point, a pool sounds pretty nice compared to the lake when we
Right,
have that. So
right. Well, and even even though the season's shorter, I mean, you're like this. Could you get a little bit of a longer season out of it? And I still look at this winter, and it's been remarkable, with the exception of
yeah,
today.
yeah. Except for that, I mean,
There's
you can have that pool all year round. Just heat it up.
I was looking at your reel, and like, I'm not looking at much snow at all out my window here, but obviously Fargo is getting hit pretty hard. I had seen I When I logged onto Facebook, I saw a friend of mine who had posted 18 hours difference in North Dakota.
Yeah, it's true. 60 some degrees to 1 degree. And you
Right,
know what, though? That's a great part. We North Dakotans are like, well, if you don't like the weather, just wait a day. So
right.
'tis life. We'll take it.
So, Kayla, what are you seeing going on in the market right now? And, what are you seeing, more importantly, for mortgage rates?
That one small, moment in time, was it? Yeah, earlier this month, we saw rates dip and we were so excited to see rates under 7. And what we're seeing right now is 30-year fixed national average, as you can see, 7.16. So a lot of people are going to be, upset. Oh, rates, there's a lot of bitterness and, I mean, what I hear anyway, a lot of noise. But what's really cool about that is, as you and I have talked about, Andy, when rates drop a full percentage, there's a rule of thumb that 3 million buyers come back in the market. Isn't that
Wow,
crazy?
that
Like
is
3
crazy.
million. Now, that's not just, in your city, obviously, but to think a lot more people are getting approved when it drops 1%. So when I think about that, and I see 7.16 for a 30-year fixed traditional. Now, that's not a bond program. I know I always say this. You'll see FHA 6.7. But, when you think of that, we're seeing a lot of indicators saying that rates should probably start to kind of peel back come June. So if anyone's thinking, I'm going to wait till June, I'm going to wait till July, you then might have to deal with millions of more buyers, depending, obviously where you're buying. So rates are remaining up there. And when I say up there, they've been pretty steady in that kind of lower 7 range.
Sure, sure.
Are you seeing a lot of individuals listing, buying? Are you like, what kind of activity are you witnessing right now?
We're having a lot of conversations, Kayla, and we're seeing I would say a little. I don't know. It's a trickle on and off. I feel like, of course, like we talked when rates had dropped, we saw a big flurry of activity, and now that rates have jumped up. We've seen some of those buyers retreat a little bit. It's just a matter of finding the most motivated individuals, and they're definitely out there. We've put a couple of properties under contract in our office this week. And so it's really fun to see that those that need to do something are doing something. But it could be an interesting year. With that, I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity this year. And even you talked about, just how rates, affect the number of buyers and sellers as well. There was a good article, and thanks for forwarding this, just talking about why today's housing supply is a sweet spot for sellers.
Mhm.
And so again, a lot of people come in, and I know you don't really work with sellers as a lender, although you're maybe working with them on the flip side when they're turning around to buy, Kayla. But everyone's always asking or thinking, hey, is it the right time to buy? Man, I'm hooked on this low rate. And the
Mhm.
short answer is that, yeah, it might be yes, if you're looking at the current number of homes for sale. And so this is based on an article from the Calculated Risk publication. It showed that there are 15.5% more homes for sale now than compared to the same week last year. So inventory has grown. But then again, Kayla, we go back to 2019, the last normal year in the housing market. There are nearly 40% fewer homes available now than there were in
Crazy.
2019.
Mhm.
And you were lending in 2019, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Do
2017.
do you
And
remember back, or are the years just kind of a blur?
they're kind of a blur. I think COVID just did that to everyone's brains, but, I remember a lot more homes, a lot more new builds. Fargo was blowing up with builds. I mean, it was nuts. And then you combine that with 2020 and low rates, and then the whole inventory shortage of supplies, I should say, the shortage of supplies, and even that didn't slow down builders, but seeing that compared to 2019, it's kind of mind blowing a little bit.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Always interesting to look at stats, and it just kind of goes on, Kayla, to talk about the fact that hey, you've got more options, for your move. So if you're thinking about selling, there are options, and you still won't have a lot of competition either. Which again, it goes to that competition, like you were talking just a minute ago on the buy side,
Yeah.
where buyers now there are hypothetically maybe a million less buyers than there
Yeah.
were a month ago, and the same for sellers. I was just talking to one of my lake sellers just before we got on this call. I just said, hey, whatever you can do, because you're working, you have a goal price in mind that may be a little bit lofty for this property. The quicker you can get it on the market, the less competition and the better. You may find someone that is willing to pay versus, if we wait until May, I know for sure on this particular lake, we're going to have more
Oh,
properties,
yeah.
and it's going to be a little bit more challenging.
Oh, yeah. And as it gets warmer, and it has been warmer, I mean, I'm already running numbers on lake homes for people, and I'm like, it's February. So that's great to know. And that's why when you have experts that are telling you these things, because a lot of people might just think, oh, I'll just wait until this day, but then they don't realize you're listing your home come May, June on a lake. Gosh, it's probably going to be a lot more competitive.
Mhm.
And I think too, when you're selling a home, for anyone listening that has a home to sell, and you're thinking, I'm going to take those proceeds and I'm going to put it all down towards a new home. One of the things that I've been doing for my clients is we look at the debt in total, because you might be better off taking, of that 100 grand equity, let's just say, and taking 50 grand of it and paying off those higher credit cards, those anything that, is above the 7% rate, and freeing up that cash and putting a little less down. Because when you're spreading 50 grand over 360 payments, it doesn't make as big of a dent as if you're paying off that 5-year loan or those credit cards. And as
Right.
we've seen, Andrew, like the debt that this country has. I mean, you'd be shocked to see how many people are carrying, 50,000, 30,000 on credit cards. And so I say these things because for people looking to take the next step and want to be advised, speak with people like you, Andy, who know the market. Speak with people like me who can look at your scenario holistically and say, this is what makes the most sense from a financial standpoint, not just dump this towards your down payment. So just my little rant on that piece.
Mhm. Noted, Kayla. Great
No.
rant. Kayla, we were talking about lake properties, and I wanted to share. It made me think of an article I saw the other day. I came across in the Wall Street Journal, America's most expensive home for sale hits the market. What do you think the price point is on America's most expensive home?
So before I saw the article, I would have guessed like 100 mil. Like I would have guessed maybe like 100 million,
Mhm.
150, maybe 150. But then I saw the article.
So $295 million. And it's a 9-acre compound in Naples, Florida. It would shatter the US home record if it sold. So imagine that.
What makes a compound a compound? Like, I guess I've never thought of that.
What
Like,
makes a compound a compound?
what makes a compound a compound? Is that
Well,
explained?
I think just because it's a certain amount of acreage and it's
Okay.
all owned by an individual, I mean, presumably it's probably gated,
I'm
just because
Googling what makes a compound a compound.
what makes a compound a compound. Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, totally interrupted you, but that place is ridiculous.
Yeah, no, and it was just a really, really interesting article talking about the guy, how, he had flown over it in a helicopter, years ago and it just said, hey, I want to make this, my home, and then just bought it and started chipping away and developing
Oh,
it over the years. And now it's for sale. So it'll be really interesting to kind of watch that one and see, what it goes for. And I think that I've seen nice properties around here, or seen, the one in Detroit Lakes last year that fetch what
yeah,
was that, about $10 million. And then you look at something like this, and it's
a
a
resort.
whole different realm.
Um, a compound, the term compound, by the way, again, everyone, Andrew Yaggie's right. A group of buildings on a large single residential property, the perimeter of which is usually fenced, walled, or otherwise secured and hidden from public view. Compound.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you
Anyway,
for that.
you're
We're
welcome.
going to call you Vanna, Kayla Vanna White.
That's my dream. May 18th, I'm going to Wheel of Fortune in Fargo because
You
my goal,
are. Oh, it's going
yeah,
to be in Fargo?
yes, and I'm going to get on Wheel of Fortune one day. You heard it here.
As a contestant, or you want to take over for Vanna one day?
As a contestant, but you never know. You never know what opportunities will arise once you get on the show. I might become best friends with Van and then take over her job.
You could. Her and Pat have been at it for a long time.
I know.
How much more time do you think they have left in them?
Well, Pat is getting replaced. Didn't you hear?
Is he?
Yeah, by Ryan Seacrest.
What?
Don't get me started, Andrew.
Oh man. Yeah, I don't think that'll. Well, I guess it is what it is, right?
I guess.
Kayla, what else is on your mind in the real estate realm today?
Can I share my calculation I shared with you earlier? This has been
You,
on my mind.
you sure can.
So we often hear, oh my gosh, like, why would I buy now? I'd have to, put 5% down. I'd have to put money down and there could be repairs. And I saw this the other day, just something simple I follow. I don't even know if people can see this. Not that you can, but
I can see it.
$500,000 price. Okay. You with me? You buy a house for $500,000 today and you put 10% down. That's $50,000. It's a lot of money, right? But when you think homes appreciate, now depending on the county and the city, we've seen a lot higher than 5%, but let's just say 5% conservatively, $25,000 in a year, your home would appreciate. Okay. 25,000. That means it's a 50% return on your investment.
Wow.
Like, it's such simple math, but I thought about that and I'm like, yeah, it's those little things that clients forget about. Yes, $50,000 is a lot of money and you need to be ready. And yes, you want to be able to afford your payment and maintenance and all the things. But when you think of building wealth, think of where everyone's wealth is typically at. It's in real estate. And so I share this because it's just so simple and it's on my Remarkable.
Which
And
makes it remarkable.
well, anyway, that was on my mind. It was just a fun little fact that I wanted to share. So that's
Mhm.
been on my.
No, that's awesome. Are you starting to see, Kayla, are you seeing kind of an average amount of applications, people coming to visit, a little bit slower, picking up a little bit as we get more towards spring?
I don't know if it was because I was traveling last week and the world was blessing my assistant because, to keep her, okay. But it was a little bit slower last week than I've seen. But I think we're averaging, I would say, roughly 5 to 10 leads a week. Now, not everyone's going to apply. I have about 25 people just this month that have not applied. They said they're going to. And I think, what I'm seeing, Andy, is people are waiting to apply until they feel like rates are going to drop. But I'm just telling them your pre-approval letter is good for 4 months. So if you take the time now, if there are blemishes on your credit, if there's something you need to save for or work on, at least we can get ahead of it. I mean, it's like going to the doctor and catching something early on.
Mhm.
So I'm seeing it a little quieter just the last few weeks, but all it would take is all these people to start applying. And now you have more pre-approved clients ready to buy. But
Mhm.
I think it's going to pick up even more.
Yep. Yep, for
And
sure.
And are you seeing people making the offers? Are you seeing people talking about making the offers?
I think both. There are some people that we've been working with for a number of months, and they're finally, finding the right property and at the right price for them. And it's still fun to see people, get a little bit of a deal or get some concessions, when they're buying. So even though there's low inventory, there still are some opportunities for buyers. I'm really starting to talk. I've got a number of appointments this week and a number of individuals who are going to list here. We've got some new listings coming this week and then probably into March as well. So yeah, I think it's only a matter of time, and I think it's going to get really busy, and I think people will get over the higher rates as well.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be time to make a move.
The unicorn years will be gone.
The unicorn years are gone, Kayla.
They're gone.
They are
And I
gone.
and I think people are getting okay with that. They're starting to realize what it's really going to cost and realize that, oh, okay, this is not going away. This is going to be my payment. And they're
Mm,
either deciding to go forward or they're deciding to continue to rent. And it has to be their decision, but at least they know going forward probably what it's going to look like.
right, for sure.
Amen.
Great as always catching up. We'll call this kind of our little catch up episode since we haven't conversed for a while, Kayla. But I hope you have a great rest of the week and stay warm.
I will if you will.
See ya.
Bye.